Let's do this. Let's look at the intel portion of the call, which I have to say is not going to be that long a segment, because unless I get wound up and get going in some direction, because really, when you're at the end of the road, there's not a whole lot of road left, and that's really where we are. And I can tell you generally what's going on, but in terms of timing, we are right there where we need to be for this to manifest to us. Okay, so let's just go into it a little bit and tell what we can. Uh, as far as Iraq is concerned, it always tends to go back to Iraq. Well, what's going on? What else is there? From our Far Eastern sources in the Far East, because we're not getting anything right now out of the Middle East. It's sort of, they're still on this lockdown, at least to the U.S. We're not getting the information that we thought we might get by today regarding the Arab Summit in Jordan, where Prime Minister Abadi was the second speaker to speak yesterday morning, local time in Jordan. We believe he finished up by, I believe it was 2:43 in the morning yesterday morning, East Coast time. And we believe that he made the announcements he needed to make to inform the people on what was going on with Iraq and with the take back of Mosul and all of that. I really think that was all done, but we haven't heard confirmation of it out of the Middle East. But we do hear from the Far East that everything was done, that everything was accomplished like we thought it would be yesterday. So we're looking to see now, are we going to have an announcement out of there? Will we get that in our news? Hard to say. I would think we would, but it's just not out yet. There'll be bits and pieces of news about Iraq and about ISIS. And I heard something today that I thought was bogus today from mainstream news. So it's hard to say, just exactly what they plan to do on that. I would say this. You guys heard on the last call, I told you that Iraq had a newly revalued rate on the dinar over $6, and that was for an in-country rate for their people. Their smart cards are charged and ready to go and are being utilized. I know that there was $1 trillion worth of Iraqi bonds that were offered for infrastructure in Iraq, and we know of some people that took advantage of those. We know that it was offered to approximately 23 countries initially, and I know of 5 countries that took advantage of those in the initial time of the offering of the bonds. And that's been, a couple of weeks ago now, I think, that those were offered. So, they're international. We just don't know if they've made that information available to us yet. I think they still are holding back the discussion about the dinar having revalued, and they may not even ever say it that way, but let's call it Iraq returning to sovereignty. Remember, they're going to use terms now like fair trade value, referring to currency revaluation, fair trade value, and the fact of reconciliation, return instead of the global currency reset or global reset that we've used in the past. Is sort of a reconciliation of countries and currencies around the world. And it's just a different term, and we just have to kind of adapt our thinking to that new terminology. But I really think that is the kind of thing that we're going to hear with any kind of announcement that will come. Now, we have heard that there may be some announcements as early as tonight regarding the U.S. being back on the gold standard, possibly relating to our new currency, the USN/TRN, which we're looking forward to being paid in. And our understanding is that those currencies are alive. I call it USN/TRN because one is more digital in the sense of the banks, and the USN is what I'm calling the currency. There's actually the physical currency that replaces the designation of USD, or United States dollar, USN regarding the US dollar, but new. That's why the USN at the end. Okay, so that currency we're looking for, we used to call it the rainbow currency, and it's similar in some ways to the currency we have and the shading that we have on our currency now, but it's going to be much more intense. I think they're going to turn up the volume on the ink and print those out in deeper hues than we have now. And we should have, from what I understand, I haven't seen those, but we should have the Treasury Reserve note on the currency, U.S. Treasury on the currency, and not Federal Reserve note on the currency. And there'll be some other changes, I think, in the people that are on the currency. And of course, Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin's name would be signed on that currency. Understand the currency is printed. Understand it may be in place to be distributed whenever they decide to bring this out at the banks. And hopefully this currency is in the redemption centers for us. I cannot testify to that, but hopefully it is. Speaking of redemption centers, our understanding was that a couple of hours ago, memos went out from HSBC to the HSBC and Wells Fargo redemption centers throughout the country, and there are quite a few more that have been either reworked or added by HSBC in the last 6 months or so. So we're looking at those. Understand they received a memo that was to have them respond back, and when everybody was able to respond back to the memo from the redemption centers, they would go to an engaged status, and that would be a status that would essentially be ready to take exchanges. So we're waiting for that confirmation, but we believe the memos went out, and we're in the understanding that that's how close we are. Now, when we go out west, we find that we have very much participation from our current administration to make sure that this is done according to plan, according to the new script, and that there are people working directly with Wells Fargo out there that are getting exchanges started and getting the groups started and getting the prepaids and advance pays, or so-called SKR accounts, taken care of. And I believe that is moving through now nicely, as we understand. And it's just a matter of time before the rest of us will get an indication of our time to set appointments and go. I believe that time is right there. It's at hand, and that we should have something here very, very shortly to put out in the way of a toll-free number to you, to put out for everybody to be able to set those appointments. As of right now, I do not have that number yet. As of right now, I am awaiting the information that may come to me, hopefully, to put that out for everybody. And of course, when it does, even if it's not on the call, if it's between calls, like it would be after tonight, we would certainly put that out and get that word out to you with a number. And then, obviously, after tonight, we would have a celebration call recording to put out on our site, and probably put out on a few other choice sites out there that you guys are going to hear the final celebration call, because we are going to take at least 3 weeks off to get everything done that we need to do in terms of putting together a new portal, new website, new everything, so that we can take this from a conference call format that we have now to a podcast where we can do it right online. And we'll still have recording capability. We'll still have the ability to go back and listen anytime you want after the call. And that would be good for a lot of people that don't want to listen live but would like to catch the call later. We're going to have some pretty cool calls in the future. Guys, I think we'll probably try to do at least one a week initially, and then we'll wean ourselves to one a week, and then we may stack those up, and you can listen to a number of those as you wish. So everything's happening, everything's moving positively. The Chinese elders were paid. We understand that a lot of the humanitarian funding sources are receiving word that they are to be completed and have their funds active, liquid, and available to them. And we also understand that the general public is to start on the 3rd or the 4th of April. Well, our understanding is we're to go between now and Monday night at 6 o'clock, in the status of engaged status at the Redemption Center. So we are right there, I think, right where we need to be, staying patient and waiting for our turn to go, which is coming up next. As far as I can tell, as far as I know from all sources, everything's pointing toward an immediacy with this. And that's what I think we're all looking forward to. In terms of what we're going to do, you guys know the Redemption Centers. Thank you, those with HSBC and Wells Fargo that are at the Redemption Centers that are getting ready for exchanges. Thank you for your preparation. Thank you for your smiles as we come in to learn about the exchange process that we're going to go through. We know what to bring. We know to bring something about our projects that we have in mind. We know to bring identification. We know to bring, let's say what else? Just something that we can write on. We know to bring our good attitude and smiles as we come in and essentially get ready for an hour to an hour and 10-minute exchange where we should walk out of there with a temporary debit card and some cash up to $10,000, I think in $2,500 bundles of $25,000, $5,000, $7,500, or $10,000, I believe, in $2,500. Hold on, I've got to take this call. Let me grab this right now.
Bob.
Yeah, are you there, Sue?
I'm right here. You pick the topic, Bob. What do we want to talk about?
Well, I was saying earlier, Sue, somebody sent me an email, I think it was today, it might have been yesterday, asking a question about enzymes and for digestion, and asking the question, as they age, do they need to take digestive enzymes? And the answer, the short answer is yes. And
Good.
You need to know that there's different types of digestive enzymes for digesting fats and proteins and carbohydrates. And so when you buy a digestive enzyme, you don't want to buy one that only digests one kind of food,
right?
One type of macronutrient. You want a comprehensive one, and there's other ones in addition, to the protease and the amylase and the lipase, which break down the proteins, the carbs, and the fats.
Right.
Okay, good.
All right, back, Bruce.
I am. Thank you for that fill period right there. Thank you, Bob and Sue. Yeah, that was, I'm not going to call it a false alarm, but sort of a precursor for maybe more information that will come shortly. And I may be able to follow up on that while Bob is doing his segment. So we'll see how that goes. But for right now, I wanted to just continue with the concept of our redemption. I know when we go in, they're going to be looking forward to partnering with us. So when we talk about our projects, we'll spend some time talking about personal projects that we have humanitarian-wise. We'll talk about new jobs that we'll be able to add with our projects, in creating employment, jobs, aired. You can certainly blend in with all the listeners on the big call that can tell suburbs, our neighborhoods, comes through for us. So I'm excited. I'm excited about Rebuild America. It fits in on. And it's not going to be something that only those of us who are blessed and chosen, if you will, for this opportunity to rebuild America, all 50 states that need some help. And we love to go to the Caribbean, so we'll be doing some work down there as well as Central America that are going to participate with us. I know HSBC is big around the world as an international bank. If you are not in the U.S. or Canada and you're looking for a bank to work with, consider, if you have an HSBC, consider that bank first as far as your exchange, because I think they'll be the one to go with. And then, of course, if you are in the Caribbean, you have Scotiabank, or if you have Banco Popular in Mexico or in Latin America, other parts of Latin America, you can consider Banco Popular, who is partnering with HSBC under that umbrella. Also very positive with RBC in Canada, the Royal Bank of Canada. Don't forget Toronto Dominion Bank, or TD Bank, we call them here in the U.S., and Scotia Bank up in Canada has good places to go for exchange. Our understanding is that you'll be able to exchange there as well. So we have quite a few redemption centers throughout the U.S. When we get the number, we'll put it out, and you'll be able to call, I think, in a two-step process. Make the first call, let them know. They may want to know your zip code on the first call, but I think they're going to want to know your currencies that you have. If you have ZIM, that should be the first currency that you mention, and they may redirect you to a completely different phone number. I understand that you'll call, and maybe that's when you'll use your zip code to set up your actual location for your appointment, because you want to go to a redemption center that takes the Zimbabwe dollar, and that'll be the key if you have the ZIM. Also, don't be shy as far as your privately negotiable rates. The ZIM has far more latitude because it is a bond and essentially a gold-backed bond, and it has a great value, and so you'll be able to negotiate the value of that up for your exchange or your redemption of the bond, essentially, by mentioning that and by mentioning the projects that you have in mind. So don't forget Rebuild America. Use that if you need it. Obviously, it's something that we want to partner with at least 5,000 of you, 100 or more in each of 50 states as a general rule across the country. Imagine 100 or more cities or towns across the country in each state being elevated and brought up to a much better level due to the infrastructure, due to the job creation, due to veterans who we're hiring to help us do the work in those cities, to people like Carrier, people like Algram with our building projects, because that's what we want to do. We're not trying to go back to the 50s and 60s necessarily for those principles and those concepts, okay? Well, I know the Intel segment was short tonight, but we really don't have a whole lot that we can say without getting too specific, which we're not supposed to. But in general terms, we're at the end of the road. We're really, really looking forward to this. And I don't use the I word that often, but I believe this is imminent for us. So everybody just hang in there, do what you're doing. Just do not quit your day job yet. Stay with plan A until plan B, which is for blessing, comes through for us. This is a great time to go through things that you're thinking. If you're looking at a move, go through things in your house that you might want to donate or recycle. Be doing maybe some mini packing up of things if you are looking at a move soon. This is a good time to clean out closets, to make clothing available that you no longer need or want. available to people through the Salvation Army and through Goodwill Industries and other useful charities that use that clothing and make that available. You know, guys, this is a great time to purge and sort of cleanse and clear out your own living situation so you can be ready. Hey, guys, you're going to be able to buy new. You're going to be able to buy some new threads. Okay, some new kicks. You guys didn't think I knew what that was, did you? Some new kicks, you know, and a new ride too. Yeah. Don't be going nuts and getting too many rides, but get you a couple of nice rides. Get you a nice crib. Everybody goes, crib? What do I need a crib for? Y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm excited, guys. I'm excited. I think I had hoped that tonight would be a celebration call, and in a way it is. We're celebrating because we know it's close. So just hang in there with me on that, and if I find anything else by the end of the call,